Today I want to share my in-depth hair routine. I want to go over everything that I do to get it into the various stages of wavy that I've been wearing lately. This is something that I've experimented with a lot over the last couple years, and I figured out something that works really well for me. But I also want to preface this by saying that I do a lot of things that are kind of unconventional, so take some of this if you think it's going to work for you, but definitely trial and error is going to be essential, and figuring out what's perfect for you is the key. So let's get started. I want to start off by going over my hair type. I think that understanding your hair type is so important when it comes to hair health for any type of hair, but especially with wavy or curly hair. You kind of need to know the language that your hair speaks in order to give it what it wants. So for me in particular, I have type 2A to 2B hair. If it's really, really humid and I use a lot of products, I can kind of push it to 2C, but more often than not, it's on the loose wave side. And it's kind of where it's always been, but I've definitely noticed that it's gotten a little bit straighter over the last year or so through pregnancy and everything, but then also as it's longer. In general, the longer my hair gets, the heavier it gets, so the looser the wave is. So I also have hair that is very, very low porosity. It's 100% genetic for me, and my hair just doesn't want to take in moisture at all. And when I go to wet it in the shower, or even at the hairdressers when they go to wash my hair, the water just kind of rolls off. And so it takes a really long time for it to kind of get in there. And so I have to be mindful of that when I'm washing my hair. And then that also influences a lot of the products that I use. And then also, my hair is basically virgin hair. It definitely contributes to the low porosity. I don't color treat my hair, and I don't do any chemical treatments to my hair. I did keratin treatments a few years ago, and I've only done maybe like 2 or 3 of those in total. And I ultimately decided to stop doing them because I loved them at the time, but I really wanted to figure out how to like work with my own texture and really figure it out and get my hair as healthy as possible. So I stopped doing those. And then also just to decrease any possible chemical exposure. So now I want to go over my routines, and basically I have 2 versions, and I use one for when I want my hair to look like it does today, very big, very voluminous, kind of like 90s inspired, and then the other version is when I want it to be a little bit more defined, a little bit more relaxed feeling. And I love them both because they give me different effects, and I find that each of them suits my mood depending on how I'm feeling, and then also different outfits. So I'm able to lean into one or the other depending on how I want the whole look to come together. And it's such an enjoyable part about the whole process for me. So let's start off with how I'm wearing my hair today. So when I want my hair to be really big and very voluminous, I will shampoo with a kind of gel-based cleanser, something that's clear and not something that's super moisturizing. I really focus on cleansing. And so I like 2 versions. The first is one that I've been using for so many years. I think I first recommended this on my blog back when I had a blog, back when I was living in New York. It's when I first discovered this product, and I've used it ever since, and I really love it. My hair really agrees with it. So I will aggressively shampoo with that. I always do 2 shampoos, and that gets it really, really clean. And I find that so helpful for not only the health of my overall scalp, which definitely contributes to the health of my hair, but then also how much volume I'm able to get. And so on days when I'm not using that and I feel like my hair is maybe a little bit more weighed down, then I'll use the clarifying shampoo. And the clarifying shampoo that I've discovered maybe in the last like 6 months, I really, really love. I've experimented with different ones, and this is by far my favorite. It gets absolutely everything out, and it keeps my hair feeling really, really clean, but never overly dry. So once I'm done washing my hair, I will gently squeeze out the water. Because my hair is low porosity, I have to make sure that I get a decent amount out in order to allow the conditioner to get in, or in my case, a hair mask. And I found that that's actually really important. My hair used to feel a little bit too dry sometimes, and that's because I would leave too much water in there. And so water is very hydrating for your hair. It's obviously can be very good for your hair, but finding that sweet balance for low porosity hair is kind of tricky. So it's definitely trial and error and personal preference. So I like to squeeze a little bit out. And then instead of conditioner, I really love to use a hair mask, and I've had really great luck with this one. It's really, really moisturizing, but also doesn't weigh my hair down. And what's really important for me, because I have low porosity, I don't want too many proteins in my products, because then it makes it a little bit too brittle and not as hydrated feeling. So once I've let the hair mask sit in my hair for a little bit, I'll rinse it out, and then I'll again squeeze out the extra moisture. And then I love to put my hair up in one of these twisty turban towels towels. I found this to be actually really beneficial for my hair because it takes out a lot of the extra moisture, but it doesn't make it frizzy or overly dry. It's really, really great. I highly recommend it. And then also it keeps my hair completely out of my face, so I'm able to like do my skincare and all of that without having to worry about wet hair getting everywhere. So I'll leave my hair in the hair towel for like 5 or 10 minutes, not really all that long. And then once I let it out, I like to apply my products. And so when it comes to this stage of the process, when my hair is wet, I like to apply a hair oil. And that's typically all I do when I want it to be really voluminous like this. So the hair oil that I've been using the longest is this one from Kerastase. It's a really, really nice oil. It's again hydrating. It's really slippy and moisturizing. It has silicones in it. And I really, really like the silicone because it kind of protects my hair. And anytime my hair is big like this, I need it to be protected because it's rubbing up against a lot of things. It gets caught in things. I can get it caught in hair ties or hair clips. And so I really like having those silicones to kind of put that coating on it. And then the clarifying shampoo that I mentioned earlier does a beautiful job of getting rid of that every so often. And then I've also really been loving this new hair oil. I don't think it's new to the market, but it's definitely new to me. I've only used it a couple times and I really, really, really love it. I highly recommend it. It's got a beautiful consistency. It makes my hair feel really soft, really moisturized, and it smells like roses. I really love using both of these. So I'll either use just one or I kind of mix them together. And finding your ratio is the most important part here. So when I want my hair to be super voluminous, I found that no more than 3 pumps of oil is enough for my entire head of hair. And I focus mostly on the mid to the ends, but then I'll definitely run a little bit up to the top as well because I kind of want everything to be a little bit soft. And then once that's done, I'll go ahead and brush through my hair. Now I've tried both wide tooth combs and hair brushes and I've kind of seen the same results for both. The difference I've found is that when I use this paddle brush, I get kind of a tighter wave overall, and it works for both of these because I end up changing it later anyway. So either one works perfectly and I've had great luck with both. So then once I'm done brushing through my hair, I like to actually pull it back with a hair clip. And I know you're really not supposed to do that because it's not the best for your hair. When your hair is wet, it's really elastic, so it can break a lot. And I definitely experienced some of that breakage around my hairline, but the convenience of having it out of my face while it's drying is way more important for me. So I'll go ahead and pull that back and then I'll let it air dry. And because my hair is so low porosity, it takes a really long time to air dry. And so because I tend to shower at night, my hair will actually stay wet all night and then in through the morning as well. And so I find it really essential to have it out of my face. Now I could definitely blow dry my hair here, but I just don't want to bother with it. So letting it air dry is a lot easier. And especially as it starts to get hotter during the summer, having a blow dryer on me is just not fun. And it's just not worth it if I can get a really similar effect and just wait overnight for it to dry. And then another part that's really unconventional is when I go to bed, I take the clip out and I actually just drape my hair over my pillow and go to sleep. And that makes it so voluminous. Now it's definitely, like I said, not recommended if your hair is really fragile, if it's really delicate. You probably will experience a lot of breakage with that. But if you have very resilient hair like I do, maybe it's really low porosity, then you probably would be okay doing this because I've had really decent luck. And then what I found is that in the morning, it's nice and big and really voluminous, and I'm able to just kind of shake it out and go. And so on the first day that I wear my hair like this, it's a little bit of a tighter texture, but it's still nice and big and very voluminous. And to kind of amplify that a little bit, I really like to wear this over to the side. So I do like a side part and it gives me a lot of volume, and I really, really love that effect. And then when it comes to wearing it for day 2, 3, and then 4, if I'm able to stretch it that far, that's where things get a little unconventional again, because I will wear it like with that tighter wave, but then flip to the side for day 1. And then right before I go to bed at the end of day 1, I'll actually brush through my hair again, and I'll brush through it using that paddle brush. And then I'll apply a hair oil, and then I twist it up and clip it, and I'll go to bed like that. And then in the morning, I let that clip out, and it's a little bit of a looser wave. I'm able to run my hands through it. It doesn't feel crunchy or sticky. I don't have to worry about refreshing anything, and I'm able to just go again. And if it starts to feel a little bit frizzy, maybe it's really humid outside, I'll just take 1 or 2 extra pumps of oil and run that over it, and it's perfect for me. So now let's go over the other routine, and when I want things to look a little bit more defined and a little bit more soft and hydrated and less voluminous. So I will again start with my shampoo, and for this case I like to use a really moisturizing shampoo, and I again will do the double shampoo because I find it to be really great to kind of get my scalp as clean as possible, but then also because these are so hydrating, they don't dry out my hair at all. And then I'll use that same mask and kind of let that sit for a little bit. Then I do the same thing, rinse it out, get out of the shower, and then put it back in the towel. And then when I take that towel out, I do the exact same process like I do for the first thing. So I will apply the same hair oils, and I'll use either one or the other or a mixture of both. But then also if I want things to be extra defined, I'll go in with some kind of hydrating cream. And so I've used a bunch of style creams and curl creams over the years. I like a bunch of them. I honestly have liked so many. But at the moment I'm using this product, and I really like this because it's really hydrating, but also it gives me that heat protection, and it's really important for this hairstyle because I do use a hot tool later on. And so I'll go ahead and apply that. And I've also found with this product you need to be really careful with the amount, and you kind of have to experiment and figure out your perfect ratio. So for me it's between 4 and 6 little squirts, and so I'll put them in my hands, rub it all together, and then again run it through my hair, and then I'll brush it through with either a comb or the paddle brush again. And then instead of pulling it back in the clip, I've done that with this hairstyle, it works well, but instead of doing that most of the time for this, I'll just tuck it behind my ears, and it gives kind of a nice effect by the face. So then in the morning, instead of flipping my head upside down and making it really big and fluffing things up and getting a lot of body into it, I will leave it as it is and I won't mess with it. And so I'll leave it in that kind of like almost center part, but kind of like a off center part, and just let it stay a little bit more relaxed in general. And then if it's looking pretty good, I just leave it like that. Plenty of times it's worked out really well. But if things are feeling a little bit not perfect, then I'll go in with a curling iron. And I like to use it kind of like a wand. And the 1-inch curling iron has been perfect. But I also have one that's got like double tongs, and they're a little bit smaller, and that's really great too when I want things to feel even more natural. So I usually just do like the tiny bit of the front, maybe 1 or 2 pieces in the back, but I'm super strategic about it because I really want the natural texture to be there. And how kind of haphazard it feels and a little bit inconsistent is what makes it feel really fresh. And doing my hair like this, especially with the really strategic heat styling depending on the look that I'm going for, it gives me so much flexibility, and I'm able to wear this hairstyle for many days and it still looks really great. I just add a little bit of oil in the morning. And then also the really key difference here is instead of brushing through it like I do on the first night for the big hair like I have today, I will never do that with this hairstyle, and instead I'll just flip it over my pillow or tie it up with my hair clip. And then also, unless I'm doing like a really specific hairstyle like the half up half down or the ponytail with the braid that I really love, then I will use my claw clip 99% of the time. And I love it because during the day it keeps my hair out of my face, it keeps it nice and secure, and then when I want to wear it up out of my face at night, I'm able to do that without disturbing the pattern. So it doesn't mess with the texture at all, but it still keeps it nice and secure, and it never gives me a headache. And so it works for every situation, and I highly recommend it. And so I'm going to link everything down below for you. I'm going to put all the products that work for me personally in case you think anything might work for you, but definitely experiment and trial and error on your own. And don't be afraid to kind of break out of routines and try something that's maybe not recommended because it might work really well for you. And don't be afraid to personalize everything. And also, like, don't be afraid to embrace the inconsistencies of your texture. Don't be afraid to embrace the frizz, the volume. Whatever you've kind of been told to suppress most of your life could be exactly what's going to make you special and unique. So like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Have a great day.